with a little health and a little wealth and a lot of love.
But a lot of people believe this. I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm going to throw some few thoughts out there. And some people believe that these positions are really for like students and people that just starting out in their careers, like less than 20, 25. In fact, I did read that based upon the U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, most of these jobs are filled by those, but not all. In fact, some of them even claimed, I think 50% or so, said that these positions actually are filled by folks who have families. And I don't know how anyone can live off $7.25 an hour or $12 an hour for that matter, especially the way we are now. So, I mean, this is a pretty big issue. I will say this, though. In the capitalist sort of mentality, environment, if you would, you're paid based upon demand. So there's a supply and demand, just like in everything else. Like that's economics. And jobs are supply and demand. So based upon how many cashier jobs are there? How many front service jobs are there? What's the skill level of these jobs?
I mean, that probably raises a whole other question about
they're more generalists.
Whether some of these jobs become obsolete with technology
AI and all that.
AI,
Yeah, but that's not for this discussion. But what I'm saying is, like, these skills are very general.
Yeah.
So if someone fresh out of college or fresh out of high school, someone
who
who's
hasn't
16,
yet learned
17,
a trade,
exactly,
if they're
or
just trying to
learn basic math and have basic human skills, you can get these jobs. So these jobs are allocated for those specific types. So if you think about that, I think that supply and demand works well here because those specific skill sets, there's many people who have those skill sets, right? Mm-hmm. So I do believe that that's pretty justified. However, I do agree with Radical Ruth and a few other members. I think the minimum wage is pretty low for price of living, standard living. If you understand the law, now this is not what I believe, but you understand the law here. So I'm playing a little bit of a devil's advocate, and I'll give my thoughts on this. Minimum wage was there based upon the ability to not take advantage of workers and to keep up with the cost of living. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to reasonably allow individuals to have some sort of standard of living. $7.25 an hour, you do not have that. You don't. But I would recommend, and sometimes you don't have an option here, but we have virtual assistants that work with us. And this is controversial, but honestly, I don't care because, there's some really good, hardworking people. And a fair wage for a virtual assistant, anywhere from $3 to $10 an hour. We will obviously pay more than that, but that's a really good example of a job that is paid. And this is like, skill sets as Excel and in like Canva, graphic design, posting, social media management, all of that. Mm-hmm. Here in US, that would be a $20 to $30 an hour, right? And I think that small businesses may be more impacted by this versus corporations. So I do agree with Radical Ruth. I don't think we should burn corporations down. I think that's a little bit radical in my opinion, but I think she's trying to make a point. And I do kind of agree with her that it hurts small businesses, but the corporations, I do think that there is an opportunity there to offset some of that. And Costco is a good example of that. Costco, the average, his hourly wage is $14 to $30 an hour, depending on what location you are in the state. And they offer really good benefits. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you guys, but if you look in Costco, if you walk around, people are happier. So, and she'll talk about that in just a second, but I do kind of agree with her on that.
With a little health and a little wealth and a lot of love. That's a life that we live. Suits and scrubs.